Europe was already at war, but in the frozen forests of Finland, another battlefield was about to open.
On November 30th, 1939, the Soviet Union launched its invasion of Finland.
Their objective was a small, remote village called Suomussalmi. If Soviet forces reached the western coast, Finland could be cut in half. The entire operation depended on one narrow road through the frozen wilderness. Thousands of Soviet soldiers moved west with trucks, artillery, and supplies. The column stretched for kilometers through the frozen wilderness. Hidden in the forest, Finnish scouts watched the Soviet advance.
Finnish troops could move through the forest far faster on skis.
For the Finnish defenders, winter itself would become a weapon. Soviet troops continued advancing toward the village of Suomussalmi. Ahead of them lay the small, remote village of Suomussalmi. Before retreating, Finnish troops had burned much of the village. The battlefield had now become a frozen ruin. But Finnish reinforcements were already moving toward the area.
The Finnish counterattack would be led by Commander Jalmar Siilasvuo.
Finnish soldiers moved silently through the forest on skis. Instead of attacking directly, they studied the long Soviet column. The entire force was trapped on a single narrow road. Finnish commanders saw the weakness in the Soviet advance. The Finnish plan was simple: cut the long column into pieces. They began by cutting the road behind the advancing vehicles.
Suddenly, the long column was no longer a single force.
Finnish ski troops moved quickly through the forest around them. Soon the road was divided into isolated pockets of soldiers. The long Soviet column was now split into several isolated groups.
The Finnish called these trapped groups a motti.
Cut off from support, each motti had to fight alone.
Meanwhile, Finnish patrols moved freely through the surrounding forest.
More roadblocks soon turned the road into a chain of traps.
The Soviet convoy was now divided into many scattered pockets. Finnish ski troops controlled the forest around the road.
Each isolated motti had to defend itself alone.
Finnish troops struck quickly before disappearing back into the trees. Along the road, the Soviet column was slowly breaking apart. Inside the trapped pockets, Soviet troops faced growing danger.
Supplies were running low inside the isolated units.
The freezing temperature made survival even harder.
Meanwhile, Finnish patrols continued to move freely through the forest. Finnish forces tightened the trap along the road. Short, violent clashes erupted along different sections of the road. Soviet soldiers fought desperately to hold their positions.
Finnish ski troops continued circling around the trapped units.
Destroyed vehicles soon blocked even more sections of the road. The once powerful Soviet column was now completely fragmented.
By early January, the Finnish attacks grew even stronger.
Each trapped unit struggled to survive on its own. Finnish ski troops kept moving around the trapped positions. More trucks burned as the road turned into a graveyard of vehicles. The once massive column was now completely broken.
Finnish forces now attacked each isolated pocket one by one.
Soviet soldiers tried desperately to hold their ground.
Other Finnish patrols moved around the pockets to cut escape routes. Many Soviet vehicles were now abandoned along the frozen road.
By January 7th, the Soviet 44th Division was shattered.
After the fighting ended, the frozen road was silent. Hundreds of Soviet vehicles were left behind in the snow. Much of the abandoned equipment would now be used by Finnish troops. The once powerful invasion had collapsed in the wilderness. The Battle of Suomussalmi had become one of the most decisive Finnish victories. The destroyed columns stretched for kilometers along the frozen road. Thousands of weapons and supplies were captured in the snow. For Finland, the victory was both strategic and symbolic.
The defeat of the Soviet 44th Division shocked the world.
In the frozen forests of Finland, a much smaller army had stopped a massive invasion.
The frozen road had become a graveyard of trucks and artillery.
Thousands of Soviet weapons were left scattered in the snow.
The victory proved how terrain and winter could change a war.
In just a few weeks, the invasion force had been destroyed.
The Battle of Suomussalmi became one of the most famous victories of the Winter War.
The road that once carried an invasion had become its grave.
In the silent forest, the battle had finally ended.
But the lesson of Suomussalmi would echo far beyond Finland.
Here, a smaller army had defeated a far larger force. And in the winter forests of Finland, strategy defeated strength.